Coming up today, President Park Geun-hye grants special pardons to almost 5,000 people ahead of Korea's Liberation Day. The National Assembly's top leaders agree to approve a multi-billion-dollar supplementary budget by August 22nd. It's aimed at breathing fresh life into the economy. First is day 6 of the Rio Olympics. Team Korea wins 2 more medals, 1 gold and 1 bronze in the women's individual archery. We have all the latest from Brazil. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Friday, the 12th of August. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this afternoon, President Park Geun-hye has approved a list of people to be pardoned at a cabinet meeting ahead of Korea's National Liberation Day, which is next Monday. Politicians and public servants were excluded from consideration, but the CJ Group chairman will be among those pardoned. We are going to connect to our presidential office correspondent Song Ji-sun at Cheongwade for all the latest. So Ji-sun, the list was close to what we had expected. What more can you tell us?
You're right, Mark. Justice Minister Kim Hyun-wook made the announcement this morning following the approval at a cabinet meeting chaired by President Park Geun-hye. CJ Group Chairman Lee Jae-hyun, who was sentenced 2.5 years in prison for tax evasion and embezzlement, was included, as widely expected, as he's been suffering from a genetic disease that affects his muscles. Now, along with Yi, 4,876 people have been pardoned. Most are model prisoners or people who committed minor crimes out of desperation and businessmen from smaller companies.
For the businessmen, we took into consideration the candidate's potential to contribute to society and the nation, with the goal of overcoming the current economic crisis and achieving national unity.
Now, at the meeting, President Park said she hopes those pardoned will join in efforts to revive the economy and contribute to the nation's development. Some 1.4 million people with penalties and suspensions for driving will see their punishments removed or reduced, letting those who make a living through driving get back behind the wheel starting tomorrow. People who commit felonies or have sentences for drunk driving or hit-and-run incidents were not considered for pardon. Politicians, public servants, and people involved in sexual or election crimes were also excluded from the list. That's all I have for now. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Ji-sun, for that report. Now, staying with politics, the National Assembly Speaker and the floor leaders of Korea's 3 main political parties have agreed to pass the government's supplementary budget bill. The Parliamentary Budget and Accounts Committee will start reviewing the government's budget plan as soon as possible. They will vote on the bill on August 22nd. Now, prior to today's meeting, the ruling Saenuri Party had stressed that the budget bill needed parliamentary approval by August 19th in order for ministries to execute the programme by the month's end. The 3 parties also agreed to set up a task force to allocate funds for a free childcare programme set up for children between the ages of 3 to 5. The government submitted its $10 billion budget supplement plan last month in a bid to invigorate the economy amid faltering exports and rising unemployment. Let's leave domestic politics for now then, and this summer's heatwave refuses to quit, really. Korea has to endure another scorching day today, with the entire nation under special advisories for the 2nd straight day. Thursday marked the first time that either a heatwave advisory or warning had been issued for the whole country, and the weather agency says we can't expect any respite today either. In fact, the sweltering heat is expected to peak, with daytime highs ranging from 31 all the way up to 37 degrees Celsius. Now, there's a heatwave warning in place for Seoul and much of the rest of the country, including Gangwon, Chungcheong, Jeolla and Gyeongsang-do provinces. A heatwave advisory has been issued for Incheon and the southern island of Jeju-do. A warning is issued when daytime highs reach 35 degrees Celsius or more, and an advisory when the mercury tops 33 degrees. The extremely hot weather is expected to last until next week. Prosecutors in Seoul plan to summon the head of Audi Volkswagen Korea for further questioning today after he was grilled for hours on Thursday. Johannes Thammer is facing allegations Volkswagen Korea forged test results on engine noise levels, fuel efficiency and also emissions. Kim Jonguns has all the details.
After 16 hours of questioning, Johannes Thammer, the head of Audi Volkswagen Korea, left the Seoul Central Prosecutor's office early Friday morning. Prosecutors had summoned Thammer the day before to grill him over the automaker's emissions fabrication scandal.
I'm sorry for all this case. Very sorry.
Did you instruction of German headquarters? Did you receive the instruction German headquarters?
No.
Prosecutors asked whether Thammer had ordered the replacement of software and Golf models back in 2014 to reduce emissions after the vehicles were rejected for sale in Korea because they did not meet the requirements. Thammer was also questioned over whether he played a part in forging documents on emissions, noise levels, and fuel efficiency to receive certification from the government. Prosecutors are also looking to see if the German headquarters was involved and what role it played in the process. Korea's Environment Ministry recently banned sales and nullified the certifications for 80 submodels of 32 Volkswagen models suspected of being sold with forged documents and fined the company roughly $16 million. Thammer has been at the helm of the local branch of the German automaker since December 2012 and is responsible for all vehicle imports and sales. Prosecutors will summon the CEO again on Friday for another round of questioning. Kim Jonguns, Arirang News.
Korea's import prices took a dive in July, falling for the first time in 3 months on the back of the weakening local currency and a decline in global oil prices. According to the Bank of Korea on Friday, import prices fell 2.8% from the previous month, hitting 75.85 on the index. The price of Korea's benchmark Dubai crude dropped to $42.53 a barrel. That's down 8.1% from June. The Korean won fell 2.3% against the dollar on month. Export prices also took a tumble for the first time in 3 months, down 2.2% from a month earlier. The number of Chinese tourists to Korea hit a record monthly high of 910,000 in July, despite the diplomatic row after Seoul's decision to deploy the THAAD missile defense system to Korean soil. The Korea Tourism Organization says over 1 million Chinese visited Korea in the 5 weeks after the Korean government made the THAAD decision official. That's a 16% increase from the 5-week period prior to the announcement. An official from the KTO said more Chinese tourists are coming to Korea this year as the governments of the two countries agreed back in 2014 that 2016 would be designated as a year for Chinese tourists to visit the country. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's reign of fear appears to have intensified this year, with more public executions than ever since he came to power around 5 years ago. Our Connie Kim tells us what's behind this campaign.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un appears to be increasing the number of public executions in order to tighten his grip on power amid some of the strongest international sanctions on the regime. A source familiar with North Korea said Friday, Pyongyang has publicly executed roughly 60 North Koreans this year, more than twice the number executed annually since Kim rose to power in 2011. North Korea has been mobilizing its people through a 70-day and 200-day campaign of loyalty to boost production through intensive labor and forcing its people to pay money to the regime. The source said that with an increasing number of people struggling under the war campaigns, Kim has intensified his use of public executions to control his citizens. The source also said the North has started to acknowledge defection as a major threat to the regime and has begun executing more defectors' families and brokers, with dozens executed in the first 4 months of the year alone. North Korea experts in Seoul say Kim Jong-un's reign of terror will likely intensify as a means of controlling his people under the tight sanctions and the regime's increasing isolation from the international community. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has described the critical security alliance with South Korea as the key to peace and stability in Northeast Asia. He made the remarks in a congratulatory message ahead of South Korea's Liberation Day on August 15th. Kerry also said the Seoul-Washington partnership continues to thrive based on the shared values of freedom, democracy, human rights and the rule of law. As the friendship strengthens, Kerry said, new frontiers of cooperation have opened, such as cyber, space, climate change and global health. Kerry said the two countries can make the world safer and healthier, and he wished all Koreans a wonderful and joyful holiday celebration. Turning now to the U.S. presidential election and another day, another controversy for Republican candidate Donald Trump. This time, Trump has accused President Obama and Hillary Clinton of being the co-founders of the Islamic State group. Kim Hae-sung tells us more.
Our government has unleashed ISIS. I call President Obama and Hillary Clinton the founders of ISIS. They're the founders.
In his latest outburst, Donald Trump has pinned the blame for ISIS on President Obama. And in a later speech in Miami on Thursday, he suggested Clinton should be given the Most Valuable Player award by the Islamic terrorist group. Trump's remarks come as he's still dealing with backlash from his hint that guns rights supporters might attack Clinton. As Trump's comments continue to shock the nation, Republican Party leaders have warned him to stop pushing the boundaries of appropriate political discourse. The Clinton campaign says it's just another example that shows Trump is unfit to be president. Recent opinion polls have shown Trump losing ground to Clinton, with the former Secretary of State leading him by over 7 percentage points. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
Turning our attention to Rio now then, where day 6 of the 2016 Olympics has just come to an end, scooping 2 more medals. It was another golden day for Korea's archers, and the small Pacific island of Fiji won its first ever Olympic medal. Let's cross over to our Eun-shin, who has a rundown of all the action. Eun-shin, quite the eventful day and another gold for Team Korea.
Yes, Mark. Some unexpected but memorable turns in Rio on Thursday. With more medals than any other nation, there's no denying South Korea is #1 when it comes to archery. But the archer to claim gold in women's individual event wasn't exactly the one everyone was expecting. Here's our Park Jong-woong with more.
At 29 years old, Korea's Chang Hae-jin is the oldest on the women's archery team. Even though a late starter, Chang's Olympic debut glittered in gold. Chang defeated Germany's Lisa Unruh 6-2 in the gold medal match, adding another coveted gold to Korea's medal tally in Rio. Ki Bo-bae, Korea's former Olympic champion from the 2012 London Games, won the bronze. Another medal favorite from Korea, the world's top-ranked female archer, Choi Mi-sun, was knocked out in the quarterfinals. For Chang Hae-jin, the victory couldn't have been sweeter. 4 years ago, in the national team trials, Chang fell just short of making the team for London, finishing in 4th place. Meeting with the press in Rio after her victory, Chang said she didn't let that disappointment get to her and kept on training for the 2016 Olympics.
In the national team trials for the London Olympics, I fell short of making the team by finishing 4th. But I didn't give up, and even though I felt disappointed at times, it made me train even harder than before.
And her positive attitude and hard work paid off in Rio. With 3 gold medals in the men's and women's archery events this year, Korea has once again proven its dominance in the field. Park Jong-woong, Arirang News.
Now, not everyone watched the Olympics, but it's fair to say everyone familiar with the international sporting event has heard of the name Michael Phelps. Setting numerous world as well as Olympic records along the way, he has been the star of the show in Rio and Team USA's treasure.
We watched it last night on the TV and we were all so excited. He was the leg of the relay that really pulled out and put them in the leads. And we made sure to get tickets to watch one of his last Olympics.
And the swimming legend never disappoints his fans. On Thursday, Phelps added another gold to his already massive collection. He has amassed a staggering 22 Olympic golds so far. He's picked up his 4th gold in Rio in the men's 200-meter individual medley. With the victory, Phelps also became the first swimmer to win the same event at 4 consecutive Olympics. Also on Thursday, history was written in men's rugby. And this next story may go down as one of the most memorable moments from this year's Olympics. The Pacific island nation of Fiji won its first Olympic medal ever, and it was the best color too, gold. Fiji beat Great Britain 43-7 in the Rugby Sevens final, sealing a huge achievement for a country with fewer than 900,000 people. Rio marks the first time rugby has returned to the Olympics since 1924. And earlier in the day, South Africa crushed Japan 54-14 to claim bronze. And rugby isn't the only sport that's back. This year's also golf's first time in the Olympics in 120 years. Some of the big names players to keep an eye on are Bubba Watson and Ricky Fowler of the U.S., Justin Rose of Great Britain, and South Korea's An Byung-hun. The men's event will last 4 days, with the medals to be dished out on Sunday local time. Korea will be very well represented when the women's golf event starts next Wednesday, as the nation will field 4 of the women's top 10 female players, including Park In-bi and Kim Se-young. Those are the highlights of Thursday, and here's the current medal standings and what's next on the schedule.
And the Olympics is where we're going to leave it on this Friday afternoon here in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Thank you as always for tuning in. We'll be back throughout the day with more newscasts. Our next scheduled bulletin coming up at 3 p.m. Korea time. If we don't see you, have a wonderful weekend. Goodbye.